Welcome to Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Here we have intimate conversations with extraordinary dance and theater artists about reimagining creativity and supporting and building community. Creative Vitality Jam Sessions and I walk in solidarity and as allies for equality, justice, and respect. Because Black Lives Matter, and we will keep walking the walk until change comes. I am Helen Pickett, and today's guest is Daniel Harder. He is a newly minted Broadway performer in The Lion King and was a star dancer with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Daniel and I have known each other since 2005. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. It's so good to see you.
You too. It's so good. I feel like it's been so long.
It has. Definitely since we've seen each other in person. It's been a few years.
A few years, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've lived in Philly almost 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so yeah, I think it's definitely been 2, at least 2, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you look great.
You do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, oh, thank you. I said, yeah, like, oh, yeah. I'm just really excited, actually. First of all, you're the 21st interview, so we are now legal.
All right. All right.
And I'm really happy to interview you actually at this point in your life when you've made such, big changes. So
Yeah.
a lot of these questions are going to be about that, and I'm really excited. So
Okay.
our first question always is, what part of the world are you in?
I'm in New York City. I quarantined here for about 11 weeks straight.
Wow.
And then I went home to Maryland once, if you can even say part of the pandemic calmed down.
Yeah.
But I was able to get tested and things like that to make sure I was not taking anything home to my parents.
Yeah.
But it was good to see them, and I stayed there for a week, and then I came back to New York. So
It's funny. I've been having the same questions about getting back out to California, and that's the same thing. I've really paused because that would be my greatest fear.
yeah,
That's a huge. From here, from New York to Maryland, you can rent a car, you can be by yourself, but that's a
exactly.
that's a long journey. So still trying
Yeah,
to figure that one out. But
I understand.
yeah, I'm happy you got to see your family.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Daniel, um, I would like to start with your recent shift. So your recent reimagining from star dancer at the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to Broadway performer. So did that early national tour, after reading your history, did that early national tour of West Side Story influence you to step back into the Broadway world? Did you, was it, or is, well, I'll ask the second part of the question. That's the first part.
I'm sure it definitely had some impact on me wanting to get back into musical theater and exploring a career on Broadway.
Yeah.
I think being in New York City, it's something that probably crosses every performer's mind at some point. But for me, it really started with my initial dance training. I worked with Debbie Allen at the Kennedy Center for 3 years straight. She was artist in residence for quite some time and created different productions annually. And the first time I auditioned, I got cut because I had no dance training. I prematurely went because the audition said seeking men who do ballet, hip hop, jazz, and I was a music video kid. So I studied Michael and Janet and emulated all their moves. I was like, oh, I do hip hop, just very naively. And that was my initial introduction into the world of dance and live performance. And so fast forward to a year of actually training, I went to performing arts high school. I did a summer intensive with Debbie Allen as well.
Great.
And then the time came up to audition again, and I was accepted. And Miss Allen was very adamant about, you know, exploring all sides of your creativity. You know, I'm coming in as a dancer, we don't really use our voice. She's like, that's okay. You know, here's another opportunity to kind of challenge and push yourself. And I think I always appreciated that, you know, her having the confidence within all of us to really say, well, if you've never tried singing, try it. Like, let's get with the piano and see what you hear, what you can replicate. Let's see how you deal with delivering lines and adding different theatrical elements to that deliverance. She just never limited us. And I always appreciated that. And so I think fast forwarding to 2019, when I made the transition from Ailey to Lion King, it was something that never really left me. And I think my spirit was kind of saying, it's time to take another leap. And it happened very quickly and very unexpectedly. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to be able to explore and challenge myself in other ways, finding more comfort in using my voice again. I think with West Side Story, the tour lasted for about 4 months. We had about a month of rehearsal. And by the time the tour finished, I was like, I'll sing for anybody. I'll do this, I'll do that. But then I continued down the concert dance path. And so most of my exploration was through physical movement. And so it was nice to kind of dive back into that and peel off those layers again and say, okay, I have to sing now. And, you know, maybe I have lines and things like that. So.
Yeah, but what's remarkable is, you know, and Debbie Allen is known for this, you know, she's a remarkable coach and just spirit and woman, remarkable female leader, you know, she's an example. But she said she gave you possibility. And
Exactly.
she planted the seeds in a young person to say, have X, Y, have A, B, C, D, E, F, G available in your repertoire. So if that is a choice later on, you know you can do it. Such important seeds to plant in a young person.
Definitely. And they stuck with me.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, I think you don't realize it. You know, I was 15 when I started dancing, and, you know, my eyes were just open and very green. You know, everything was so new. And you're not realizing that every experience you have, every person that you meet, including yourself, you know, that there are these little nuggets of wisdom and bits of information and room for, you know, continued growth and challenge of within yourself. And you don't realize it until you actually take the time to sometimes reflect and
so
go, oh yeah, I remember Helen saying that, or I remember this person saying that. And then, you know, it's all a part of the puzzle that makes up each of us.
that's true. But I want to anchor just in one other thing you said just now. So for the past, let's say, few interviews, I've been anchoring more into, because we've had months now of this, let's say, lock in.
Right.
And it's what I've decided to, you know, make a part of the talk show now is, or in addition, is to hear about how people have spent their time, because you just said it, the time is a gift. And, you know, once we get past the fear of not being able to be in our theaters, not being able for me to create in a theater or in a studio, not being able to be with my dancers, be with my colleagues. Once you get past that fear, at least I have found this in people I've been talking to and myself, it's like, right. So what do we know how to do? Dancers are, for the most part, type A personalities. We get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, okay, so what can I do now? And so just mentioning again or quoting again what you said, the time we have now to dig in, to question, to reconfigure the puzzle. And then,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah,
so yeah. So I hear you saying that. I hear you saying that.
definitely. And I think all of us have grown to appreciate this time. I mean, this is an unprecedented time. Um, but I think because, you know, as a creative individual, you know, our spirits need to express themselves in different ways. And so when you've been used to a particular avenue and not having access to that, it was a process, kind of reimagining exactly what that was going to be. I mean, I never thought I'd have a ballet bar in Marley in my apartment, you know. I'm just thinking I want a nice couch and, you know, but it's really interesting just the survival tactics you develop, even as an artist. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, thinking about your health and staying safe and all of those things, but I guess, artistic survival tactics that we develop in order to continue to thrive, not just survive, but to thrive as well.
Right. Yeah, because they're real.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, so actually you answered this, but it is part of that same question. Was there anything unexpected? You said that it happened very fast, but was that part unexpected, or were there other aspects that were unexpected from going from Albanese to
Mhm. Well, interestingly enough, the audition portion of that journey for me was unexpected. I got a phone call after finishing our Lincoln Center season. So Ailey has the large December season at City Center and then a week-long season at the Coke Theater. And so I had gone through the whole summer rehearsal process and the rigorous amount of performances. And we actually had a week off. I think it was a week or 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm gonna rest. This is necessary. And I got a phone call out of the blue saying, we're having this huge transition happen at Lion King. Would you be interested in coming into audition? And you don't really realize how the universe will connect the dots for you. And so spiritually, I knew that I was seeking transition. And then this moment just happened. So I was kind of freaking out a little bit because I was like, okay, I haven't pulled out my resume in a long time. Do I have a headshot? Like, you know, and then again, you know, Broadway is, I kind of loop it more into the commercial industry. So I'm like, well, do I use my concert dance headshot? Because that might be too serious for them. You know, it's like you go through all of those crazy things we tell ourselves. But I took a leap of faith and I went, and I'll never forget at the audition, which I guess kind of gave me an inkling that I was being considered. They said, "Do you think you can get out of your contract with Ailey?" And we had just signed on for the new year, for the new season, and I was like, I think the sooner I have an answer from you all, I could probably navigate that, so all parties involved, don't feel slighted. And then I think the next day I had an email and it was like, here's your official offer. And so it happened very quickly. I ended up finishing the international tour with the Ailey Company. I had 2 weeks off, and then I started rehearsals with Lion King in October of 2019.
So you got those 2 weeks of rest.
Eventually, yes, yes. Because I didn't think I was going to be auditioning during my first period of rest, but then we learned the entire show in 4 weeks. I learned how to walk on stilts. I never thought that that was a thing for me. So I'm actually, we have many different characters that we embody in the show, but I am the first giraffe that actually crosses the stage. And so that was pretty exciting, but also nerve-wracking. Here I am trying to hold up my own body weight along with all of this puppet that's attached to me. We always have those jitters right when we're about to perform, and it's like finding that level of zen, so I was like, you have to walk on these stilts. You're not going to have your opening night performance and go splat. Yeah, so I think just that process in general was very unexpected, and I was used to processing information very quickly coming from Ailey.
Yeah.
But it was different because here I was having to learn an entire show, the script, the music, along with the dancing. And then, Broadway is very specific because it's not just, oh, well, you're on quarter or you're on center or upstage, downstage. It's like you're on number 13, right? And I'm like, and you're trying to, even navigating the stage,
Yeah.
it was a learning process in itself.
Yeah, but Daniel, you were prepared.
Yeah.
You were prepared. In my much more advanced stage than you, what I've discovered, because, again, as type A personalities, we tend to question every new situation because we want to be the best we can be.
Yeah.
Right. So, but for example, these talk shows, I've been learning by doing, and Zoom choreography. I knew I had to get in sooner than later because it was a new thing. And so, but we do prepare, and your life, starting from the story you've just told us on this talk show, you were prepared. It's just, and you said it, it's reconfiguring the puzzle.
Yeah.
Because all the elements are there.
Definitely.
And I think I say that for people also to remember, and also you, because you will have more transitions coming. Hopefully we all will, but it's just good to keep in your pocket to remember, okay, it's new, it's going to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because I'm prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. So let's see here. I want to hear more about your earliness, early days. You danced with the amazing Camille A. Brown and dancers when you graduated.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
When you graduated from Fordham Ailey.
Yes. So I had worked with. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this was before. So that was before you got a contract with Ailey too, right?
It was in tandem with that. So I was in second company and also working with Camille.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
How did those two, so like very institutional Ailey too, right? Being in a big institution, and then Camille. How did those things feed each other? because she's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, that must have been so rich, to have yet another. I mean, your life has been filled with amazing female leaders. That's so beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, I think God knew what he was doing when he created woman. I really do believe that. Not taking anything away from us, but I, from my mother to the other mothers and wonderful female figures that I've found in life and in dance, they've all just been, they fed me in so many different ways, spiritually, emotionally, physically, speaking of Camille. But I think I first connected with Camille as a student in the Ailey School. So in the BFA program, my sophomore year, Camille came in to create a work on my BFA class.
Wonderful.
And so fast forward to, I believe it was 2009. I'm hoping I got that date correct, but Camille called me because she had a few dancers that couldn't make it for a performance that was happening actually like in 3 or 4 days. And so it was for a dancers responding to AIDS benefit. And she was like, can you come in and learn this? And I was like, okay, not really knowing the bullet that I had actually bitten off. And also because Camille is, she's an exquisite mover. The way that she designs space is just phenomenal. And she also demands a lot physically within her vocabulary.
Good.
But I was able to get through it.
Yeah.
And then within that, that led to me working with her, and we started creating a piece that premiered, I believe, in 2010 called City of Rain, which I think is a beautiful, beautiful ballet. And I didn't get to dance it because I had gotten into the main company at Ailey, and she knew that the schedules were just too much for that to blend. But to go back to your earlier question about balancing Ailey too while working with Camille, I do think the discipline that I had developed in the school, and that was also required for being in a professional company, such as Ailey 2, really helped me balance being in multiple places at one time. In the BFA program, I had to learn time management because my life depended upon it.
Yeah, it's an excellent program, but in all the years I taught the freshman class improv, it's a rigorous program, and that's why it's so excellent.
Yeah.
The studies are rigorous and the dance is rigorous, and what a great prep for, I mean, I feel like it's a great training ground also to step into professionalism. It's such an excellent program.
Yeah, and the one thing that I've always taken away from Camille, because I've gotten to work with her since that moment, or those few moments, one of the tools that I think I walked away with was efficiency. How I use my body in space, because Camille can literally move at the speed of light, but it still looks like the most expansive use of her body. And so, that taught me about efficiency, like how I navigate movement, where to listen, where to push. It was a great lesson because, physically, I think we just tend to go, go, go. And then you kind of have to take a step back and think about the process and the approach to the movement. And so that's something I learned from her and I took with me, especially moving into my professional dance career from second company on forward.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, amazing. So you are also and have been a choreographer's assistant to the choreographers Debbie Allen and Christopher L. Huggins. And you
Yes.
also give master classes in dance in the US and abroad. Um, how have these two disciplines influenced you as a performer? And do you anticipate going into either one or both of these when you retire from the stage? Maybe it's too early to say that because you have a lot more stage ahead of you.
Um, I think getting to, as we would say, step on the other side of the table and gauge the room the way that a choreographer or a director is seeing it, how to communicate what they need, how to pull that out of different bodies, people who learn differently. I think those are all skills. Well, I gained a lot of insight first and foremost,
Yeah.
being on that other side and seeing, some people are great at emulating, some people need different metaphors or um, just ideas to kind of process what's being asked of them. And it also, in being a part of having to figure out how to express that or express what the choreographer was wanting, it also changed my approach sometimes in how I processed information that was being given to me as a performer. Um, I know that I'm very physical in my approach, and in being able to step on the other side, I often thought to myself, okay, well, let's not just look at it for the sake of movement, but let's take the time to listen to what's being said. Why are they giving these different ideas or metaphors or images?
Yeah.
Um, Listen to the breath, because sometimes that will also help you get to or help you approach the movement in the way that the choreographer is asking you to do so. So it I've always, well, I've learned to enjoy it. My first experience, was with Debbie Allen. She had come to New York to start auditioning for a musical that she was putting together, and she happened to be doing it at the Ailey School. I ran into her in the building, and she just happened to ask, I know I was in the BFA program at the time, and she said, well, do you have any free time? This is when I'm holding the auditions. Can you come in and demonstrate? And of course, I was like, well, let me look at my schedule and make sure it's not conflicting with anything. And so I was in the room with her, myself, and Jennifer Locke.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we went in there, we learned the choreography from her, and then, had to demonstrate it. But listening to her guiding the performers in the room, and also kind of being able to start to see beyond the rawness of a performance or the mistakes of a performance, but being able to see where there's room for growth, to see if that person really has what's needed for maybe that particular role, the particular ballet, whatever it might be. So that also gave me some insight into just kind of how um, directors, choreographers, coaches, mentors, teachers, essentially that's what they're all doing, is educating their artists and helping them uh, curate and cultivate their gifts.
That's true. But I have to say, Daniel, it also you know, after working with many, many people at this point, there are also just the personalities that um, you wanted to take in information. Your antenna were up. You
Yeah.
know, just the fact that you were considering this and really took, you know, you know, considered the front of the room by just, you know, being there for not much of the time, obviously, right? But you went,
Hmm.
you took in this information, you assimilated. You know, that's
Yeah.
part of that again, you are prepared because you assimilate, you listen, your antennas up, you're ready to take things in, consider, and apply.
Hmm.
That's life.
Yeah. And
But he has not everybody learns that at such, you know, a young age, and that's remarkable, you know,
yeah,
have this cultivation time.
definitely. And I will say, one lesson that I learned very early on, and this was before dance, but it's something that remains true to my art as well as life in general, is to forever remain a student.
Yes.
You know, we kind of, for a lack of, better terminology, we kind of die when we stop taking in information, stop processing, stop evaluating, stop learning. You know, you kind of halt
That's right.
your growth and your continuum in this life. So I feel like I'm forever going to be a student of the arts, and I'm always, trying to just discover things. I'm that strange person that even as I've been, finding classes on YouTube, and this is how I'm staying in shape these days. But I'm also that strange person that I'm like, I look at, how are they using their hands? Why is this one using their hands
Why is
different?
that strange? Another person I just interviewed was talking about detail and how detailed they are and what they think. And they said, call me, you know, I'm a crazy person. I'm like, we have to stop this.
Yeah,
Why does that make you strange?
it
That,
doesn't.
that makes you excellent. That doesn't make you strange.
Well, no, I thank you.
You know, I'm semantics. You know that about me.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you go with that strange.
No, but I find beauty in kind of tuning into those details, and why the beauty of one artist um, is different from another, but how they're both great. You know,
Yeah,
how someone uses their feet, how someone uses their face. It I find joy in just kind of taking in that information, and really getting to process what makes each person so special.
yeah.
And also, then you brought up teaching. It also helps me start to build more tools for myself about how I give out information, because everyone learns differently. Um, and I've been all of those learners. I've been the person where it was like, we actually have to move your arm, in order for you to understand where I want you to go. And I've been the audible learner, and I've been the one who can take in imagery and go, okay, I understand that idea. Um, but I think the more that I challenge myself to tune into those details, tune into the uniqueness of the individual, it allows me to develop more tools and more skills so that I can pass on all of the information that's been shared with me.
Beautiful. Yes. We've known each other a while.
Yes.
I've had the great opportunity to see you go from an inquisitive, intention filled, remarkable student to an exquisite performer. You've had a long history with Ailey, with the Ailey organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, education with the Ailey Fordham program, Ailey 2, main company, all the touring. Can you share some impactful memories from some of the steps? So just a few memories from some of the steps from the school to Ailey 2 to the company. And perhaps within those couple of memories, what did each step take? You know, June, is that a clear enough question?
Mhm.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I think when I decided to come to the Ailey Fordham program, I kind of had tunnel vision. You know, I met former Ailey dancer Stephen Smith, who was also from Maryland. And while working with Debbie Allen, he was her assistant. So I found out about this great BFA program. I was like, oh, great, I can focus on education and dance. But I was also very hell-bent, to say the least, on dancing with Ailey. And then I got to the school and I met so many people who just opened up my eyes. From you, Francesca Harper, Johnny Meal, Francisco Martinez, Milton Myers, Denise Jefferson. I have to, give her all of my love.
Oh, a
Um,
remarkable human being.
yeah.
And
And
kind and generous and true.
yes.
Loved the art so truly that it all came from there.
And she also encouraged me not to limit myself, even though she knew what my goal was. She knew that I should also keep in my periphery the other possibilities. Um, and so that education alone, getting to work with all of the amazing choreographers. I mean, Christopher Huggins is my mentor, but he also brought in ballets that challenged us like no other. I mean, I also got to dance, Enemy in the Figure, and worked with you and Fran on that. And we danced Rassemblement by Nacho Duato. All of those things fed me in ways that really, I think, made me fall in love with continuing to pursue the dream of performing with Ailey, because the repertory of both companies is so vast.
Yeah.
And so I was able to really start that process very early on in the school, working with so many different choreographers, so many different teachers who've come from all of these exquisite dance backgrounds. And everyone was, like you said, everyone was so generous. So that is what made my experience in the school very special. And then I auditioned for the first company 3 times. And the second time I auditioned, I was a senior.
Okay.
And I didn't make it. I made it to the end, but was not asked to join the company at that particular time. And I remember Miss Waters, who was the artistic director at that time of Ailey 2. She said to me, I thought you were beautiful, but I also don't have a spot for you. And so, I went through a process of thinking, okay. And I remember Lynn Glauber, who I call my ballet mother, coming to meet with me like 30 minutes before her 10 a.m. ballet class that I happened to also be in. And she said to me, you've been working so hard. I've watched your growth for these 4 years. This is just, not even a roadblock. It's just a bump in the road that you're going to get over, but the sky is still the limit for you. And so I started brainstorming other companies that I wanted to dance with. And before that process could really take flight, something happened within the second company lineup, and I was asked to join Ailey 2.
Right? Amazing how how these, but you know, I think it's also important just to say, you know, so Loveland Glauber, I mean, the Ailey School, you know,
Yeah.
it still is extraordinary, but I can only speak to my time there. It was just filled with extraordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I'm so happy she said, you know, you're destined for greatness, and you look around. And, you know, very often when we say, right, so my tunnel vision might not be on the exact timeline that I thought it was going to be on. So let's
Indeed.
open some doors.
Yeah.
So funny when we almost give over to saying, I've got to widen the shutters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Look what happens.
Yeah.
So you did go like that, and then the avenue, it kind of veered right back to that. It's life's really something a lot of the times, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the intention has everything to do. You have the intention.
Yeah.
Great, you know, mentors to tell you your intention is great, you're destined for great things, and now let's widen the intention. It's right.
Yeah, definitely. I really think that that speaking about that particular time within the Ailey organization and the school and both companies, that was always something that was sometimes spoken, but always felt, is the idea of, you know, just being clear about um, your direction, your quest for excellence, um, you know, how you see yourself and how you want others to take you in. I mean, it was really an all-inclusive education for myself. Um, and it led to these opportunities that I had dreamt of. You know, we all imagine ourselves in these places, but to actually have them come to fruition has really, even when I take the time to reflect, I'm just like, wow, we did that too, and I did this, and you know, it's a blessing. I've really cherished every moment. And one thing that I learned from you, and I'll never forget this moment. Well, I'll say from you, Fran, and Alan.
Of course,
Alan came in to set my senior solo from a Vile Parody of a Dress.
I remember.
And the three of you took men's ballet with me. And the four of us stood at the same ballet bar. And I remember watching you all, because anyone who knows me knows I'm very disciplined, very focused. And I watched you all and I said, wow, because you all were doing the class. And I mean, the technique was there. It was beautiful. I kind of like was trying not to be awkward and gawk at the three of you and be like, okay, wow. Because I'm also in class, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I just kept saying to myself, you can work hard and have fun and make it fun. And that was really beautiful for me to see. And that was something that I tried to take with me. And I've tried to continue that everywhere I go. It's like, and even reminding myself, you know, when I do have my moments where I'm very serious, I'm like, let's shake that off. You know, there's a way to focus and still, you know, be able to enjoy it, you know, and it doesn't have to be not heavy, but you can keep things light.
You can, because that doesn't mean that you're not serious, and it doesn't mean that and that's just what you said. It doesn't mean that all the detail isn't there. It's
Right.
that within, because come on, being a professional dancer is one of the hardest things I think on the face of the earth, because we have to use, and I've said this many times in these interviews, but our multiple intelligences
Mm-hmm.
really get honed. And so when you're in a milieu, also with the competition and everything that's involved in being a professional dancer, like a professional athlete, but we have this art that is intrinsically, you know, meshed into. If you, and all of us, so the three you mentioned, the three of us from, you know, Frankfurt Ballet with Forsyth, that was that milieu. So we learned that there, that it was intense.
Yeah.
Wonderfully so. But we learned that we could have a laugh and get right back to it.
Right.
And that is something I have, you know, tried also to pass on as a choreographer, to say they can be married. They can live side by side, and they can weave, and they can be a roller coaster. And then, you know, sometimes you have hours, you know, where you're just getting to it. And then that 5-minute break is riotous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you had the great fortune to be, and I say this with reverence, to be directed by Ms. Judith Jamison, right? One of dance's icons. And you danced a beautifully varied repertoire, and you spoke about that. And you spoke about this already. How did all of that reimagining and having this icon, this example before you, Maya, and all the amazing people involved in the company, these amazing examples of artists, you know, that the foundation of where you got to be with and go on from and get the rich information. How did all of that reimagining inform you today? Let's say in this moment, what would you, if it just came to you, what would be the thing or a reimagining that really, oh, I'm not going to limit it, just answer the question. It doesn't.
I would say that all of those experiences, I mean, and I just have to, you know, say, being hired by Miss Jamison, and it was actually her final year as artistic director. So myself and 3 others were her last 4 hires. Just to say it, kind of, I already have chills kind of running down my body, but it was a great privilege and honor. And again, talking about intention, you know, she was very clear about challenging us to explore all of the different voices, characters within the repertory. You know, whomever's work we were dancing, if it was Jeffrey Holder or Mr. Ailey or Hofesh Schechter, it was, you know, very much so like, be clear with your intentions about the work that you're in right now.
Yes.
And then imagining yourself through that lens. And, you know, marrying that idea of, here's what the choreographer is asking you, and now bringing yourself to that, and how do we make that blend?
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Battle carried that beautifully forward as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so to kind of touch on the broader question, I think that those experiences have really helped me kind of reinvent myself, how I see myself, and also embracing new sides of myself, figuring out that I have other voices that live within me. And, you know, they're also just as important, just as powerful, just as necessary to who I am. And I was able to challenge myself and push myself in directions that I probably would have never thought of for myself. But again, the beauty of also being on the other side of the room and being able to see what's there behind all of the smoke and mirrors, so to speak. But a choreographer or a director saying, okay, I think they're ready for this next challenge or this kind of step. And I take great pride in that time that I was there with the company, and those lessons and experiences that I had, I try to keep sharing that and keep diving into them for myself, even though I'm not dancing that particular repertory anymore. You know, I see things pop up, or Ailey's also streaming ballets and things now, and it takes me back to that time. And I think we also tend to kind of, in watching it, let's say for instance Blues Suite, Mr. Ailey's first ballet, having danced it at a younger age, now I'm thinking, wow, I have more experiences under my belt. I wonder what that would feel like. What would that role feel like now? Or what could I bring to it that was different than where I was in that particular place in my life? So I still try to keep all of those wheels turning.
So the last three questions are what I ask everybody.
Okay.
Can you share a favorite or impactful memory or memory? I mean, you've done so much of that already, but if there's one favorite or impactful memory that you can share from your creative life, a joyful one.
Oh, goodness. I think the last ballet that I really had the most transformative experience with was Rennie Harris's Lazarus.
Oh, yeah.
And I had worked with him several times within the company. I had covered the lead roles within the work before, but this time the role was created on me.
Oh.
And it's also Ailey's first 60-minute ballet, 2-act ballet.
Remember.
And I didn't know that I could go to some of those places that he challenged me. And I found a new level of transparency in my artistry, and also a new confidence in my artistry. It was a very large undertaking, the role in itself, because it's looking at the history of Blacks in America, but it's also through this one particular character's kind of journey backwards in order to move forward, and kind of that connection with history, but also the spiritual realm. There's a lot of really powerful imagery within the work. And it was, there are certain aspects of my history that I'm, I know adjacent, because I just was not born during those times. But having to kind of put myself in those shoes and, of course, examining where the world is today, also helped give me things to process and take in within the role. But I didn't know that I was even going to shed the layers that I actually did. And so it was a transformative experience every time. I know we often say that, performances, they should be brand new every time, and we always work for that, but in reality that doesn't always happen. But emotionally and spiritually, it was transformative for me every time. And I'm glad that with my transition out of Ailey, I was able to leave with that experience.
What a gift.
Yeah, it felt like a gift. And I probably get on Brandy's nerves because I thank him all the time. And,
no, people don't get tired of hearing thank you.
But I am, forever going to cherish that experience. And it was a nice way to put the icing on the cake for my Ailey journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, you didn't know it at the time.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Do you have an insight or a daily inspiration that you perhaps, or a mantra or something that you can share with us?
Well, in terms of a daily practice, usually when I wake up, I pray, and I kind of take, well, now that we have a lot of time, I take as much time as I need, but I try to at least take a good 15 to 20 minutes when I wake up in the morning to just kind of sit with myself and listen to what I'm feeling, listening to what my body's feeling, because that's real. But also just to kind of see where my mind is at, see how I'm responding to the energy in my home and in my spirit, and just start to map out my day, and how I would like to approach it. And it works. It doesn't always work, but there are times where I can at least tune in to myself and say, okay, we didn't start in the greatest place, but let's be cognizant of that as you navigate the day, so that you don't want that energy going into your different interactions, or, even if I'm taking class, if I go in with a defeated attitude, I'm probably not going to have the best class.
Right.
So just trying to tune into those things. But my mantra has always, I read it, I don't know, a long time ago, but it was, never hope for it more than you're willing to work for it.
Oh, beautiful.
And I've
Beautiful.
always loved that. And I think it encourages both sides of the coin. You have to dream, you have to think big and envision, these phenomenal things for yourself, but also acknowledging that it's going to take work, and the two of those ideas have to meet. So that's usually what I try to share.
That's beautiful. I love that quote.
Thank you.
Yeah. Last big question. In supporting and building a more equitable community, what do you believe needs to be shifted or changed? And I always say the caveat, there's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but what is one way for this answer?
I think, I'm just going to kind of go off of what my daily practice is. I think if a lot of us tuned into self and really invested in who we are, who we'd like to be, and the world that we would like to see replicate that, I think it would change how we kind of navigate in this world, the energy that we put out there. Because in tuning into self, you also have to tune into others, and so I think that really just taking that moment to think about, who you are, what are you giving to the world? How is that going to be of service to others?
Yeah.
I think just that time with self would really start to create some of the much needed and necessary change that we hope and pray will continue to take place.
It's very insightful to start with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's we often hear, you can't be good to others until you're good to yourself. And it's
But still a great, insightful reminder.
absolutely.
Daniel, you are just, again, knowing you at such the pleasure of knowing you at such a young age, and to see, it's really a gift. I've said this to some of the other people that I've had really the opportunity to know a long time. It's really a gift for a choreographer or a teacher to be on the journey.
Yeah.
Even if we don't see each other for years, but to hear about and be on the journey with a person, it's just talk about a gift. Yeah. And to sit and talk with you and hear you today, and if you do become a coach or a teacher or a choreographer or whatever, if you're on the other side, you are going to be remarkable. You're just such an insightful, generous, kind person. So really my pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you. I enjoyed this so much. I know we're doing this for your show, but it also just feels like a great moment for us to catch up and just to see each other. And so I thank you for this.
Yeah, and that's how these have been. They've been great catch-ups with friends, and that's why I started them. Talk to people.
Exactly.
And then get it on tape so people also can hear.
Right.
This really, from amazing artists.
Yeah.
Hopefully people, tune in, and because they will be inspired by you guys. They really will be. So if you don't mind just sitting with me while I do the last bit of the show, I do have one other question. Where can we find out more about you? Do you have a website? Do you have a tag on Instagram?
My website is thedanielharder.com, and that'll just link you to my social media and contact information. So that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And on stage, of course, in The Lion King.
Yes, soon.
When we get there.
Absolutely.
Right. So in addition, everyone, you will find a small, abbreviated bio of Daniel in the description page once this interview is uploaded to our Creative Vitality Jam Sessions YouTube channel. You'll find a little bio from Daniel there and some other information. And Creative Vitality Jam Sessions is not live. We have 2 new sessions every week, Tuesday and Sunday. And our next guest is we're going to have 4 guests the next time. 3 students and 1 graduate from the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. Gracie Spina, Aliyah, Lucia De-Poli, and Jamaal, Bowman. So now I want to say my thank yous to everybody. I thank you for so much again, Daniel. Just a pleasure.
Thank you.
I always get so choked up in this moment, but it's true. I'm so thankful to be a part of our dance community. Every single day of my life, you sustain me, you show me the way, you give me hope, you remind me of the work, all of the stuff we talk about, and I'm ever grateful. And I thank Gracie Spina, intern extraordinaire, who makes this show happen. And I want to remind everybody to keep reimagining creativity. It's right there for you. And I'll see you hopefully soon on stage. I really want to come, so we'll have to do that. Make a trip.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.